Hi, everybody. It's Sunday, September 3rd, and I thought I would make another video. My first one was viewed by a number of people, and I really appreciate that. I didn't get any comments, so I don't know if it's resonating. I don't know if it's helpful, but I thought I'd give another try today. So if you are so inclined to please leave me a comment and let me know if it's helpful or not. I mean, I can take it. If it's not helpful, I don't have to do these. I'm just feeling like maybe I can help one person. And if so, I would be thrilled. Uh, so today, what I thought I'd do is focus on the emotions around getting a diagnosis like this, because to me, that was absolutely huge. And I have a lot to share with you about that. But first, I'd like to tell you where I am in my treatment cycle. So, on Tuesday of last week, I had another chemo treatment, which means that I go into the chemo center usually around 8 o'clock in the morning. And this particular regimen that I'm on, I'm done by about lunchtime. And oddly enough, I actually look forward to going into the treatment center, not because I'm sick or not because I have to get this treatment, but because I have developed relationships with the nurses there. And they are all so kind when I walk in. They all know my name. They just make me feel like I'm important to them. And, they are people who have chosen to take care of people with cancer. Every single day, that's what they do. And they are amazing people to me. They're angels. And so I feel so grateful to them that I have them in my life. So I go in and I get my treatment, and then by lunchtime, I'm out. Now, one thing I've done to pass the time in the past is just fall asleep in my chair, just like catch up on my sleep. But then I started thinking, there must be something else I could do besides just sit here and fall asleep. So this last week, I took in an adult coloring book and colored pencils that someone had given me as a gift. And I started to color this picture of a dog. And anybody who knows me knows that dogs are my passion. And I've never been artistic or creative at all. But all of a sudden, this really sparked my creativity. Not that there's much that you can do other than color these beautiful pieces of art that are in these books, but they're very intricate, and it requires you to make some decisions about what color should I put here in this particular pattern, and what color, I think the colored pencil set that I have is like 50 different colors. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And so I would encourage anybody who's going to get chemo to take something like that with you to pass the time, rather than just, kind of zoning out. Okay, so I got my chemo on Tuesday. I feel normal when I go in there. I feel normal when I come out. Usually the next day, I am full of steroids that they give you. So I feel really good the following day. And then the second day is when I start to feel the effects of the chemo. And for me, that's really just fatigue. All I want to do is just sleep. And so I give in to it, and I just sleep. I sleep as much as I need to, because obviously my body is craving it, and I just give in. I make sure that I eat well, and otherwise I just give in. And usually the next day I'm still dragging, feeling pretty tired. But then by the third day, which would mean that it's Friday now, from Tuesday to Friday, I start to feel a little better. And it just takes a few days to come out of it. But here it is Sunday, and I feel great. I feel completely fine. I feel strong. And I can't wait for my husband to get home, because maybe we'll go take a Jeep ride somewhere and do something fun. So that tells you that. And I can't wait till tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning I'm going to get up early, and I'm going to go down to the pool and swim. And I swim for like 30 minutes. I don't break any records, but I keep moving for about 30 minutes, and that's my happy place. There's nobody there. I have it all to myself, and I just love it. So anyway, that's kind of where I am in my schedule. And so now I'll have this whole week as a break because I don't have chemo until, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. So it's like a 2-week process. Okay, now let's go back to emotions. When I got my diagnosis, of course, I was shocked. Like I said, I've been very healthy my whole life, and all of a sudden now I have cancer. And not only do I have cancer, but in my mind, I've got the worst cancer that there is. And it just does a number on you, and does a number on your psyche, on your brain, on your emotions, and then that ends up affecting your body. And one of the things that everybody kept saying to me is, you got to stay positive. You got to stay positive. And I took that to heart. I thought, I either have a choice to be all negative and give in to this, or I can be positive. And so I tried to do that as much as I could. Now, I don't know how to definitely tell you how to stay positive. But I know how to tell you a couple of things that have really, really worked for me. And number one is learning how to receive. And by that I mean learning how to receive help. Okay, I did not know how to do that. I have been a very independent person my whole life, and I've never really had to rely on anyone. And when I had to relinquish the control of caring for myself after my surgery and have my husband, who I want to look at me as strong and capable and independent, had to take care of me, that was very, very hard on me. And I kept apologizing to him over and over again. I'm so sorry you have to do this for me. I'm so sorry that I'm sick. And he just kept saying, you need to stop apologizing. I'm your husband. I love you. I'm taking care of you. That's what we do. And it took me a while. It really took me a while to realize that. And it reminds me of a story that really happened to my husband and me, and it taught me something. And this story has nothing to do with cancer. I wasn't even sick when this happened. But as you know, my husband and I live in Florida. We came down here from St. Louis, Missouri. And when we lived in St. Louis, we had a favorite Jamaican restaurant that we used to frequent. So much so that when we walked in the door, they knew what our order would be, and they would just start cooking it. And they made us feel so welcome there. And the owner, his name was Easton, and the restaurant is called The Palm Tree in St. Louis, which, by the way, they are finding a new place to have their restaurant. So I can't tell you the address right now, but when I know where they've reopened, I will definitely tell you. But during the holidays, Easton would offer a special where he would cook a jerk turkey and all the Jamaican trimmings that goes along with it, which is like cabbage and rice and peas. And we ordered it many, many times. And I guess because we were such good customers and loyal to him, one time when we came from St. Louis, or from Fort Myers to St. Louis, we stopped in there, of course, and we had our wonderful meal. And he came out and he said, I'm going to make a jerk turkey for you. And we said, oh, okay, cool. And he said, just stop by here and pick it up. And I was thinking, I didn't want to say anything, but I was thinking, okay, dude, we flew here. How are we going to get a jerk turkey home? But I didn't want to say anything. I thought we'll figure it out. And then on the day that we were leaving St. Louis, we came by and he was just taking the turkey out of the oven. So it was still warm. And we asked him how much we owed him. And he said, "Oh, no, 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 you don't owe me anything. I want to give this to you." And we're like, "No, no." And we were arguing with him and kind of fighting with him because we didn't want him to give us something for free. And he got this very, very serious look on his face. He looked both of us in the eye and he said, "You both need to learn how to receive." And we were like, "Whoa, okay." And so we shut up and we gracefully and gratefully took that jerk turkey, packed it in my husband's luggage. It's still warm, it's smelling divine, and put it and checked the luggage and then picked it up. It came through when the luggage came out of the carousel. You could smell this turkey. And we took it home and we had the most wonderful meal. But I never forgot that he told us that we need to learn to receive. So fast forward to me being sick and being in the position where I really did need to learn how to receive even more, because I needed help. And I will never forget that. And so I share that as number one. Let people help you. Let people love you. They want to do it. And if what they want to do is not good for you, just tell them. But make sure that you are receiving the gift they're trying to give you, because they don't want you to do anything for them. They just want to give, and you need to just receive. Lesson learned from me. Okay. The second thing I want to say is that your mind gives you so many thoughts that you think you can't control, or at least I believed I couldn't control. And so I'm walking on this planet saying to myself things like, well, I have pancreatic cancer. I only have so many days left on this earth. I'm going to feel pain. I'm going to be sick. How's my husband going to be without me? What can I do to make this whole thing easier on him? All these things going through my head. On top of that, and I will say that this really took my mind and did a number on it. After I was diagnosed, we had gone through Hurricane Ian here in Fort Myers, which was devastating to our community. Now, personally, we did not feel anywhere near the pain and destruction that many, many people did. But we live in a condominium complex, and there was a little damage to our roof. I mean, just a few shingles blew off of our roof. Some roofs were worse than ours, and some didn't have any damage. And this is the first time we were living in a condominium setting. So we had no idea that they could actually come back and say, okay, we're going to replace all the roofs. And in order to do that, each owner has to come up with $15,000 now. And yet that's what they did. And that's how we learned that they have the power to do this, whether we agree with it or not. And by the way, we didn't agree with it, but it didn't matter. And so on top of everything else that's going on with me and all my worries, I am now freaking out over the fact that they want $15,000, which we don't have laying around. I mean, many people apparently have 15 grand laying around to just give to this condominium complex. But we didn't have it. And I have all sorts of medical bills, which is a whole nother story that I won't burden you with now, on top of other commitments that we already had. So I was beside myself about their demand, and told them, listen, I just got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I have medical bills up to here. We can't come up with this money. What can we do? There must be a way that we can work. And they wouldn't work with us. Bottom line, mean, selfish people, and they wouldn't work with us. And so while I'm trying to manage my emotions around being sick, I am inundated with emotions and anger beyond anger over this 15 grand that they were expecting us to come up with. And my family and my husband, they were all incredibly worried about my mindset. They said, you have to stop worrying about this because it can't be good for your health. If you're going to be in a constant state of agitation and anger and worry, that's only going to be a negative on your health. And you've got to get this under control. And I said, you're right. I know you're right. But it was really, really hard. I couldn't get rid of the thoughts. And I was so upset with these people. And I would tell them to their face, but it didn't help because they didn't care. And so one day, I got this letter from my college roommate that I've stayed in touch with all these years. And we've stayed in touch, loosely. So I wouldn't say that I know her as a 60-some-year-old person and how she lives her life. No. But I know what she was like when we lived together in college. And she'll always have a special place in my heart. Well, she wrote me this letter saying that she didn't know how I was going to respond to this, but she wanted to suggest that I consider meditation. And I remember reading it and thinking, meditation, really, Nancy? I'm not going to do that. That's not me. And yet somehow I had this feeling in my heart and my brain that was probably something I should at least listen to. Well, she sent me some information on this Dr. Joe Dispenza, I think it is, who has written a lot of books on how, if you control your thoughts and your mind, then you can have more positive outcomes in your life. And that's a nutshell of what he says. I'd have to go into it in great detail to explain it, but he has books, and then he does these guided meditations that you can do, like books on tape kind of thing, audio tapes. And so I bought the book, and to be honest, the one book that I bought, it was very scientific based, and I don't have a scientific mind. So parts of it were like over my head, and I was getting kind of like, okay, this is too much. I don't even understand this. But he was slowly but surely explaining the reasons behind his method in his guided meditations. And so I started to really understand where he was going with it and what he was trying to get you to understand and put into practice. And so then I started doing the meditations. And I'll tell you, the very first time I did it, I was bawling my head off, because it forces you, if you really let it do its thing, it forces you to confront the emotions that are pulling you down and dragging you down, and the ones that you want to get rid of, so that you can then replace them with a positive reality. And I cannot tell you how much that very first time touched me, wore me out, emotionally drained me, but I knew that I was really fully engaged if it did that. And it taught me, for example, how to let go of these anger feelings that I had toward these people in this condominium section, and what to replace those feelings with, and how to recognize when they're starting to come back and haunt me again, so that I stop those feelings. And also, it helped me with releasing all of the fear and all of the sadness and all of the emotions that go along with a diagnosis like this. And it's the type of thing where you make up your mind before you do the meditation, which emotion do you want to work on right now? So you don't work on all of them at once. You think about, for instance, I remember working one day on, I want to get rid of the fear. I don't want to be afraid of this. I want to just be strong and take one day at a time. And, I can't even begin to tell you how much this has helped me. So between learning to receive and then doing these meditations to manage my emotions has honestly made me happy during this whole crazy period of my life. And I don't know how many people have really learned this. I wonder how many people just give in to the diagnosis. But that has been incredibly helpful to me. And I actually just meditated before I did this video, and I can't even tell you how wonderful it makes me feel. Okay, so the third thing that I wanted to share is that I had to make sure that all my caregivers were being positive, and were, really had my back. In other words, not just in the physical management of the disease, but emotionally. And there was a nurse practitioner who I hadn't seen before. Nice young woman, very helpful from a clinical standpoint. But at the end of our session, she started talking to me about, did I want her to refer me to palliative care, which is, of course, palliative care can mean hospice, which I'm not in hospice, so that isn't what she meant. But for counseling, really to help you with the emotional part. And I said, well, I'm already talking to a social worker, and she's really helping me. And she said, well, if you change your mind and you want to go into palliative care group, then you'll already be there when and if you need their other services like hospice. And when she said that, I was like, okay, listen, I know that my prognosis is not good. I heard that loud and clear. But I am not sick. I don't feel sick. I feel happy. And the chemo seems to be working. So I don't need any, thought of, oh, I'm in palliative care now. But I didn't say anything yet because she was still talking. And then she started saying, well, also they can help you with end of life decisions. Okay, now I'm not happy because regardless of my prognosis, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that at all because I'm not sick. If I was feeling really sick and feeling like, okay, this disease has got me, okay, fine. Then that's the time to be talking to me about this. But now I am feeling strong. I'm feeling happy. Don't even go there with me. And she made me, I walked out of there in tears, and I was so upset. And I thought, I cannot have somebody taking care of me who is pushing me in that direction when I don't feel anywhere near that. So a couple of days later, I had an appointment with my surgeon, and I told him, I said, and he was so sad that I was going through all of this. And I said, I need to remain positive. And he said, yes, I know that you do. And that's absolutely right. And I told him what happened. And he said, no, that's not good. And he told me, these were his words, it's patients like you who make doctors like me sit up and take notice. It's patients like you who make doctors like me sit up and take notice. And I thought, now that is what I need to hear. And I was grateful to him. And turns out that he called my oncologist, and all of a sudden, everybody's on the same page with me now. They're all on my team, and it's fantastic. So I had to take charge of that, because if I would just listen to her and let those thoughts go into my brain, then I'm giving in. And I don't need to give in yet. I'm hoping I don't ever have to give in. But please, right now, I don't need that. And so it's been a game changer for me to know that everybody's on my team. So number 3 is you have to speak up, and you have to care for yourself and your emotions. Okay, and lastly, I would say that speaking to someone professionally, like I have a social worker who is part of my health system, and I don't even have to pay to see her, and we don't see each other in person. We just do Zoom calls. But she's a very positive, very loving, wonderfully suited for her job. And we talk maybe every 6 weeks or so. And I cannot begin to tell you how much she has helped me. Because I even talked to her about that situation with the nurse practitioner, and she said, no, you're nowhere near that. We don't need to go there. And so what does she talk to me about? She talks to me about individual stressors that are in my life at that point, or triumphs and wonderful things that I want to share with her. One of the things that I talked to her about is that I had written a book, and the book was about my dog and all the things that he taught me about life. And I have sold quite a few copies of it, and I have gotten lots of positive feedback on it. And now I'm embarking on a second book, which actually my husband and I are writing together. And it's about being married to someone who's of a different culture. My husband is, you guessed it, he's Colombian. And his culture has had such an impact on me. And one of my dreams is that I can get some kind of stability in my treatment so that we can go over to Colombia and spend some time. There's places there that I absolutely adore and really want to go there. But anyway, I share this kind of stuff with her. I share the fact that, we live in Fort Myers, but we go up to Tampa to Moffitt Cancer Center, and they are really driving my treatment in partnership with my local care team here. And I share with her the results of the scans or my blood work or anything like that. But we just talk as people, and she's so incredibly helpful. So that's my fourth suggestion in terms of managing your emotions, is find someone, and I think it's a good idea that it's a professional who can be with you on this journey. It's incredibly helpful. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. Oh, one last thing. No, never mind. I already told you about the coloring books. That's helped me a lot. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go do some coloring. But anyway, I think this is a good stopping point. And please leave me a comment and let me know if this is helpful or not. I would truly appreciate it. Thanks, and have a wonderful Labor Day weekend.